DDG episode 237. My name is Dave, and I'm joined by Michael.
Just watching Dave frantically reframe things as he's checking sound at the same time.
There's some hiccups in 2025 right now. It's been a minute, okay? The last one we did was the Game Awards because I got sick, and then you got sick, and then the holidays, I got sick, then the holidays happened, and then you got sick.
Then I got sick. We were supposed to be back last week, but it didn't work out that way. But yeah, no, we're back. It feels weird. It's been a while since we've talked about games. It's actually been a while since I've talked about any video games because I don't really do Twitter anymore or anything like that. So, like, all my gaming opinions have been bottled inside for the last month and a half, however long we've been out. I'm looking at Dave again. He's frantically looking to see.
I'm just checking that I have everything set right. So.
Yeah. Okay. We good, Dave?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So how have you been, Dave? Now that you're done being sick, your computer problems are hopefully over because that also delayed us a couple episodes.
I'm okay. Things are good. A really good holiday season. Spent some time with my family. I spent some time with my direct family, like my sister and my brother-in-law, stuff like that. Like first holiday without my dad. So like prioritizing the family was a little bit of a higher priority during this time of year. But overall, like, things were good. Really good Christmas with my direct family, good New Year's and everything like that. So things are good. Things are really good.
That's good to hear.
What about you?
Have you been... it's family stuff, new house, first winter in a new house. So just constantly poking the broiler and the furnace, being like, don't die on me. But everything's been pretty good.
Putting your hands on all the window seams. Is that cold air?
Yeah. Just I'm still finding corners that the previous owners cut, and there was quite a few of them. Couple windows weren't like sealed with like caulk or anything like that or sealant, and so there was a couple times where I'm having to like fix some windows here and there. So just been doing all the homeowner stuff that's kind of boring, and then trying to fit video game time between that, and then also being sick the last like 2 weeks has been fun. And then work is still chaotic right now, so still trying to get like the work-life balance going again. But yeah, happy the video game industry kind of took a little bit of a nap while we've been gone.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we are Digital Days Gaming. We are typically a weekly podcast. We're going to get back on that schedule in 2025. Probably not. But we're going to try. We post on Thursday morning, 6 a.m. Eastern time, typically. You can find us on the website at www.digitaldaysgaming.com. We were just talking about something about Blue Sky that we probably need to do because X and Twitter and is kind of going down. Not looking too good at all.
It's like the Titanic. It's a very slow sink. It's just been kind of a mess. I have not loaded Twitter up consistently in a long time. I have really not been looking at it. And every time I do, it just turns into this like hellscape AI back alley fucking social media site. And not in like the fun way Twitter used to be.
Right.
Like a horrible way. Yeah.
But other than that, you can subscribe to us on podcast services around, Google Play or Apple Podcasts, whatever those things are. And you can leave us a review. You can do Spotify. All of those services are available to you. And if you can leave us a review, that's helpful. We're a little rusty, and it sounds like we might be having some minor tech issues, so I apologize. But other than that, we are going to try to power through this, and we're going to try to do some regular routine stuff, and we're going to jump into the news.
Yeah. All right. So news, pretty light. There was, of course, a lot of like company layoffs and stuff like that happening. So we're not going to cover all of those, unfortunately. But we'll jump into some stuff that came out of CES and some news things that we missed over the last couple weeks. The first thing is PlayStation announced that Helldivers and Horizon will be getting film adaptations. So at CES, Sony did their big presentation, and it's always a combination of like, their actual tech stuff, but then they also bring out the movie companies out just so that they could do that. I guess it's just what they use as their platform. But at CES, they announced that Helldivers and Horizon will be getting film adaptations. Horizon was originally announced as a TV show, and I guess that is not happening now, though the producer for Sony said that there are multiple Horizon projects, so that could be anything. That could be various video games things. They did point to Lego Horizon as a Horizon project. So I imagine they're talking about sequels to Horizon. Sounds like that multiplayer game for Horizon still on target to be an actual thing. But yeah, we're gonna get a Horizon movie, and who knows? That means there also could still be a Horizon TV show in the works. And then of course, Helldivers getting a movie is kind of funny because it's just kind of a rip on Starship Troopers. So I guess we'll just
I don't really
Starship
see a
Troopers.
market for a Helldivers movie, but I mean, I just don't think that the type of dialogue and kind of jump the shark style thing that Helldivers and Helldivers 2 have currently is going to fit in a movie format.
Yeah, it feels like an old idea. Like you could do a Helldivers in the 90s. I feel
Correct.
like, like Independence Day, those type of summer blockbusters. But nowadays everything needs to be tied to like a big franchise with multiple sequels, and I just don't really see that for Helldivers.
I don't even think that. I just think that you need to figure out a way to mass appeal to audiences. Like, like it's kind of what we talked about with initially with our thought. Like they did the Last of Us TV show phenomenally. We still are hearing rumors about God of War, but I mean, I guess like we were kind of like at the same time, at least I was like, oh, how are we going to see a Mario movie? And they did a great job. Sonic has done all 3 Sonic movies are great. I saw the 3rd one over the holidays.
I did too.
So I mean that's worked, but I just don't like. I don't know, like little things, and I know our genres and our taste in movies are significantly different. But do you think in 2025 they could do American Pie again? Like
No. Like I think.
Or
As
Van
a, like,
Wilder
block-
stuff, like that's just not allowed anymore.
No. I so it's not like a not allowed thing.
Yeah.
I just don't think there is a.
It's not a
put that
money
in
maker.
movie theater.
Yeah.
No. It's something that you can put on a streaming service
Yeah.
and people will watch it on streaming.
Now, if Helldivers doesn't go to theaters and ends up being something that shows up on Netflix or shows up on Prime, because I think Sony has a good relationship with Amazon.
With kind of everybody, Apple as well. 'Cause
Yeah.
remember, Sony was the one where it's just like, hey, we're not going to make our own service. We're just
Yeah.
going to license to.
So if they
service
do
providers.
something like that, this might work. I can't see taking Angela to Helldivers as a dinner and a movie thing.
Yeah. Well, Horizon, yes, because Horizon
Absolutely.
seems like
Yeah.
that would fit in as a blockbuster popcorn summer movie.
Yeah, and I could see getting a high end actress to play Aloy, like a familiar face to play her. Now, obviously, she'll have some other tech stuff on, but I mean, I could totally see a decent name, like not a high end, like not what you call like a AAA actress or something like that.
Probably like one of those like HBO actresses
Yeah.
that are ready to make it to like
and
a Hollywood star.
that would be I could totally see that working, but like who's the main character of Helldivers? Like I'm not trying to criticize the game, but
Wait, I would imagine the pitch for Helldivers is like Fast and the Furious meets Starship Troopers. It's one of those things where you need an ensemble cast of various like action stars in it to try and pitch that. Because it's going to be silly and all that stuff, and it's going to be mostly about.
I just feel like when this news was breaking, whether it was like pre CES or at CES or stage presentation, I don't remember where it came from, but I'm like, wow, like everything's getting a movie or an anime right now. It felt like.
Yeah, it's that synergy thing.
Yeah,
that, like
brand,
PlayStation is
brand representation.
Yeah, and this is the thing that Sony's been wanting to do for a while, and they never could get their act together. And then after they strung together a couple hits, they're going to push it and see what they can get.
But do you think, like, I guess ultimately, do you think, sure, maybe the multiplayer game coming out or something like that, but do you think that getting Horizon out in a television format, a movie format, in a a watching format, not a playing format, will increase playing sales?
I think it could, especially for how well Horizon has sold.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking about the first game sold, like, what, 20 million copies?
Probably
like
over lifetime or an X amount of players and downloads because it was free and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. So I can see Horizon kind of... We're talking about, like, fucking robot dinosaurs.
No, I think it'll do successfully. Like, I think it'll be a successful television show or movie or, big screen adaptation. I think, without a doubt, I think that'll be successful. Do you think somebody's going to walk out of that movie and want to go buy Horizon Zero Dawn?
I think so because of the premise and what you're seeing.
Okay.
Especially if you're seeing like
I guess ultimately
dinosaur
it depends.
robots.
Yeah, it depends on if it leads up to the events of the first game, like where they put the story.
I think if you're appealing to like the mass audience, they don't care about story timeline. They're just going to be like, I want to kill that big dinosaur.
Yeah, I agree.
I want to interact with it.
But I think it might be cool to do something at the end. Be like, oh, you want to know the rest of Aloy's story? Go play the game. I know that sounds corny saying that, but So.
But most likely, if it's going to be Aloy's story, it's just going to be like, hey, here's the first game again. Also, hey, the first game is dirt cheap.
Yeah,
it's available
no, for sure.
For a while.
Or they tell a different character story, and then that character meets Aloy. Like, I think that might be harder, but I think that could be potential to draw more interest. I don't know.
Yeah, Helldivers is the one that's going to have a harder time because it's like, hey, this movie was super cool. Let me find 3 other people and do this co-op game. That's a harder sell, unless they have a sequel ready to go, Helldivers 3, by the time the movie comes out. If it ever comes out at that. Especially with these movie projects. I mean, we were talking about Horizon 2 years ago as a TV show, and now we're getting a movie.
Right.
God of War has been rebooted twice already as a TV show. So we'll see if anything happens. I would say Helldivers would probably be easier to make because you don't have to really worry about any like deep lore, any upsetting like a franchise of a video game. But I would imagine Horizon is PlayStation's like baby right now. That's like their golden goose. So they're probably going to be very hands-on to make sure this movie isn't like tampered with or hurts the game's image.
For sure.
Helldivers, they're kind of just like, make it, see what happens. If it doesn't work, whatever. Right. We killed Helldivers as a franchise.
It won't be as high of a budget either because you won't have to have like we talked about, like an HBO style actress.
No, exactly. You just get a bunch of
clones.
Honestly, you just get some.
It's like,
yeah.
It'll probably be a lot of CG. Honestly, it'll probably be a lot of CG.
Yeah. It's to be beefy dudes in like suits and or in mech suits or whatever.
Just no naked shower scenes, okay, Helldivers? No naked shower scenes.
I mean, they could do it. There's an audience for it. It could help. If it becomes a TV show, we'll definitely do that. All right, the next story I just put in here just because I thought it was kind of funny. So in the summer, we talked about Annapurna, the publisher. Their entire publishing arm basically resigned over disputes with their parent company, Annapurna. And it was like the first time we've ever seen like an entire like staff just completely resign. And people were wondering like, what are they going to do? What are their plans? And it turns out their plan was to work with a private equity company and buy Private Division from Take-Two. So Take-Two back in November announced that they sold Private Division, their indie publishing arm, to private investors. Those private investors turned out to be that staff of Annapurna people that left and some investors. And now it turns out that they are just going to run Private Division and take over the publishing rights for Kerbal Space Program, Tales of the Shire, and the unannounced Game Freak title. So this is kind of like nature balancing itself out. We were going to lose potentially 2 indie labels, and now we got like one indie label that has like some good pedigree behind it.
Right. Good for them. I mean, like we talked about this before. Like you're not going to just let this talent just walk out of the industry. Like we figured something like this was happening. Now, I'm very, very curious about. And I believe their resignation was like abrupt, like broad and abrupt. So I'm sure that they, tried to keep them and tried to either, get them to sign a non-compete. I'm sure, which apparently didn't work, or it did work and it was only 6 months, and we're pretty much at that time. Which
is probably why Take-Two was like, we can't say who we sold to.
Yeah,
and then January rolls over, and suddenly it's like, yeah, we sold to these guys. And
so. It's like, or their contract was through 2024, whatever kind of like weird contract they had with Annapurna. But I mean, this is kind of the direction that the industry is going, where it's more about the developers and the staff. I mean, we're seeing more and more and more of this because of these just ridiculous layoffs that these big corporations are doing that are cutting costs and stuff like that. Like a lot of people are like, okay, well, developing games is easier now than it was 10, 15, 20 years ago at home with the tools and everything like that. And we have tons and tons of talent, and some of this talent got paid like a lot of money. Christopher Barrett for Bungie left or got fired or something like that. And he's suing, and it came out that he's suing because he pretty much says I got fired because they didn't want to give me my $53 million retention bonus. Who the hell has a $53 million retention bonus?
Jim Ryan when he's trying to keep talent.
Yeah. If even a quarter of that for a salary for somebody at Annapurna, 10% of that, $5.3 million, which is ridiculous. But if those people decide that, hey, we're going to put a quarter, we're all going to invest 10% into this company, and everybody brings $500,000 to the table, you have a video game developer. So, yeah. I think that every single person that left Annapurna has $500,000 in their bank account? No, but
that's why they got some money investors.
But they've got, like you said, they've got the pedigree to go, hey, we want to do this, so we just need you to pay the bill. We'll take care of the rest.
Especially the pitch for an Annapurna is like, we're not even developing the games.
Yeah.
We're just talking with people that develop the games, and then we'll, speak on their behalf and market for them.
Right.
So it's probably an even bigger investment pitch of just like, hey, we're not doing the most expensive part of this process.
We pick really cool stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. We're tastemakers.
Can we have $10 million?
And people are like, fuck it. Okay, we're not even doing the risky part. Like, we're not, actually developing stuff. Cool. Here's my money. I don't know if they're going to still be Private Division. I would say, Dave, like when I say Private Division, I would imagine that name doesn't really have any cachet.
I think when their logo shows up, I think some people get interested a little bit. If I'm sitting watching a PlayStation Direct, a Nintendo Direct, an Xbox Showcase, and they show a trailer and I see a Private Division logo there for half a second, if I'm looking at my phone, I stop and look at the trailer for a second, though, right? I recognize it.
They had the Outer Worlds.
Yeah.
That was like their biggest game.
I'm just saying, I recognize the logo.
Yeah. But it might take you a couple seconds to be like, why do I recognize that logo?
But regardless, it gets my interest. There's a connection there. Not the connection of like the Naughty Dog paw print when it shows up on the screen, but...
Or Annapurna where they used to come
from.
Where you'd see the Annapurna logo and you'd like, oh, okay, I know what I'm getting.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's a little bit
I
there,
wonder...
So.
So I wonder if they'll keep the Private Division name or if Take-Two kept that as well and just gave them the assets.
I'll be very, very curious if they can do something like really, really petty and like put the Private Division logo up there and then say, from the people that produced blah, 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 blah. And it's an Annapurna game, like a little print, Yeah,
well, so one of the games
from the staff that brought you XYZ.
The thing is, I imagine it got a lot of investors because one of the companies that they have the rights to their game is Game Freak, which is the creators of Pokemon. So they're going to have Game Freak's next video game under their banner. So I would imagine a lot of their pitches were like, hey, we could have the next Pokemon game. Game Freak doesn't have the best track record outside of Pokemon games, but it probably is enough to get investors to be like, fuck it, sign me up, and let's see what they got. So they at least are going to have like a good shot to, swing for the fences with their first major game coming with Game Freak.
Right.
Which I believe just has a project title. It doesn't even have like an official name or release date. It's just like, hey, here's Game Freak's next title. And it's going to be their first one. So, for an indie label, that sounds like a good first attempt at a game. Because I don't really know what you do with Kerbal, honestly.
Not much.
Yeah. All right. From blossoming publisher to a opposite of blossoming. Sorry, I can't think of words. Ubisoft is still trying to figure things out. So, I don't know if we talked about this last time we recorded, but the Guillermo family are trying their best to figure out what to do with Ubisoft. And they are currently pitching Tencent to help them take Ubisoft private, but also leave the family in charge of Ubisoft with Tencent's money. And that's a big sticking point. The current proposal right now is they want to start a new company and transfer assets to that new company and then have Tencent buy that new company. So then the family can run that new company with Tencent, not under the Ubisoft name, and it won't be a publicly traded company anymore. There are no details on what IPs the family want to remove from Ubisoft and put in this new company. And there's like no details on like how serious these talks are going, other than it is being pitched. Dave, as someone who likes Ubisoft, this is a wild concept, and this screams of desperation of them trying to figure out how to.
Yeah, like that's my first question. How? Like the Ubisoft board's gonna sit there and be like, "Sure, take Far Cry. Go ahead."
Yeah.
Like no problem. Oh, you want you want Rabbids? Okay, take it. No big deal. Like like how much power does Guillermo have? The Guillermo family. Am I saying that right?
Guillemot, yeah.
Guillemot. How much power does the Guillemot family have? How much money do they have? How much is it going to cost? And then how much do they need Tencent to give them to do said thing if they don't have enough money? Like that's a huge investment for Tencent. Okay, we need to buy IPs. And then you're going to resign. You're going to resign from the company. We need to buy X amount of IPs to then start a new company, which what we just talked about, private division logo and stuff like that. Like the Ubisoft logo gets anybody's attention on a trailer versus Guillemot Gaming. So I don't see an avenue that ends with this being successful.
Yeah, the percentages broke down in the article. So Tencent owns 10% of Ubisoft, 9.99%.
Okay.
And the Guillermo family own 14% of Ubisoft.
Okay.
The rest is publicly traded. So they would need
77%, right? 76%.
Something like that.
Yeah. Okay. So again, 70 you got 100 people sitting at a table and you can control you can control 23 hands?
Potentially, yeah. So this is one of those things where I wonder how they're pitching this in terms of like, are you pitching it to where it's like, hey, so we're going to put the shitty IPs in this new company, spin that off to make Ubisoft leaner, so then you can buy Ubisoft. Because the idea, the other way sounds crazier to me, which is what the news article is basically pitching.
Yeah.
Of like, they're going to put the most successful companies in this new company.
Okay, right off the bat, what's the number one thing that you put on the top of your wish list from Ubisoft?
Assassin's Creed.
Correct.
Yeah.
Why would 76 people go, yeah, go ahead. You can have it.
Take it. Or if they're like, okay, we just want the shooters, and they're like, Tom Clancy's as a whole franchise, Rainbow Six. Like,
what do the contracts say? Like, what is, like in terms of like Tom Clancy's The Division, which by the way, there's a third one in development. Rainbow Six, top 3 esports game, right? Like top or the top. It's right there. So, we saw, and again, Sony overpaid, and I hate to keep going back to this, but we saw how much Bethesda went for, and we saw how much Bungie went for. Okay, both of those companies, I would argue, sell less units than Ubisoft's 2 or 3 or 4 Ubisoft franchises, right?
Potential, like at Ubisoft's prime.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like if you Assassin's Creed Valhalla, did that sell more or less than Doom? The most recent Doom.
Oh, no, it probably sold significantly.
Do you think it sold more than Destiny 2?
No.
Sold.
No. Destiny 2 was a fucking juggernaut.
Okay. I'm a huge Destiny fan, and I still think it won. Let me see if
I don't know. But I would say, like, if you go back to previous Assassin's Creed games, like an Assassin's Creed 2 or 3, probably competitive. But I would say by Valhalla, people were getting tired again. Destiny 2 sold really well, and I'm a Destiny hater.
Okay, so but there's a difference between sold and produces revenue.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just saying...
And, there's microtransactions.
I agree, but I still think there's a difference between copies sold and revenue produced. Like, I'm coming to that point, like, where we're talking about we sold... This is why they split from Activision. Like, because Activision didn't like how many units sold. They didn't like they didn't like their graph wasn't up versus them saying, well, our revenue's up. They're like, yeah, but you didn't sell. Codex, like,
I guess
you didn't
if you
sell
also
this
put
much.
in the fact that we found out that Bungie's terrible at managing money. So
I agree, but I'm just talking about like charted on NPD. Like
Yeah.
every time a Far Cry game comes out, it's in the top 10 or the top 5.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
time. So,
But either way, like long story short, like
yeah.
it's a big ask for the board to sell any of these franchises in like a new company of just like, yeah, we'll just drop that from our revenue
And to be
cycle.
fair, it's going to be really, really hard for me to find Destiny 2 total sales units because does it include Witch Queen? Does it include Lightfall? Does it include Forsaken?
Yeah.
Like, it's too hard. Like,
Yeah.
because I'm trying.
But either way, like, to your point, they would have to get approval from the board, the publicly traded side, to allow them to spin off companies. And the determining factor of just like which IPs get sent to this new company that Tencent buys. And I think an aspect that people are missing is Tencent could buy Ubisoft now
Right.
if they sure as hell wanted to, because Tencent is
How much
loaded.
money do you think Valhalla produced in total between sales and revenue?
I know it's probably in the hundreds of millions.
Over $1 billion.
Over $1 billion.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
for Valhalla.
I mean, yeah, games are expensive.
No, I know. I mean, I know,
Yeah.
but I'm just there's microtransactions in Assassin's Creed now. So I mean, like to be honest with you, I just Googled Assassin's Creed Valhalla total sales. The first thing that Google AI gives me is Assassin's Creed Valhalla has earned over $1 billion in revenue and sold millions of copies. So
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
I'm not trying to like just focus on one thing, but like, why would Ubisoft give up the Assassin's Creed IP? Like, why?
Yeah,
Why
or
would
any
they
of
give
their
up the
IPs.
Far Cry? Why would
Yeah.
they give up the Division? Why would they give up Rabbids? Like, these are like, this is not only you're giving up like all the little like merchandise that goes with it. People buy those little stupid little rabbit plushies all the time, even when they don't know what it is. Oh, that's cool looking. Like,
the other sticking point I think is what I was saying earlier is Tencent could buy it now if they wanted to, but the way it's being pitched now is like, okay, you spend all of your money, and the family still gets to run the company. And I don't see why Tencent would give a shit about the Guillemot family wanting to still run it, especially when you're talking about like, hey, okay, so we're gonna put all of the franchises in this new company, but we also are gonna have a stake in that company still. Tencent, please buy it, but let us still run it. Like, there's no incentive for that. Hell, if I'm Tencent, I'm just like, give me Just Dance, and we're cool. You know, like, there's too much baggage with like Ubisoft and all the other games. Especially like, when was the last successful Ubisoft game? In the last like 2 years.
well, I can tell you that they've got 20 titles that have sold over 10 million copies each.
But I'm saying like the last 2-3 years, they've canceled more games than they've released.
Yes, I agree.
So we're
but,
not
like,
talking about Prime Ubisoft now. We're
Yeah.
talking about them
I
on
mean,
their
like,
down.
I'm just like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, 12 to 15 million copies sold reported. That Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, 14 million copies sold, and they're not making more. Like,
Yeah. No, but that again, yeah, that's like old Ubisoft. And that's
but Prince of Persia was last year.
That's no, that's called A Crown.
Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time.
Sands of Time is the other game.
Oh, okay, never mind. Released October 28th, 2003. My bad.
Yes. Yeah. You're looking at you're looking at lifetime sales.
Yeah, I am. I'm just trying. Like,
Yeah.
Far Cry 5, which was 2018. Holy crap. Over 20 million copies sold. Like, and then Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, over 20 million copies sold. Like, I mean, this is just a random like document that I found.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying any of this is like straight fact, but I mean, you're talking about 20 franchises in the last 20 years that have sold at least 10 million copies apiece. Ubisoft's going to sit there and be like, sure, take it. It's fine.
Okay, no, exactly. Yeah. And like, if you're Tencent, you're just like, you understand why Tencent would want to do this of like,
But
yeah, put all
Tencent
the
wants
good IPs.
Ubisoft. They don't want the Guillemot family game.
Exactly. They don't want that. And then they also are just like, give us the good stuff
Yeah.
and drop all the fat, which is all the stuff you've been canceling.
Yeah.
All the weird stuff that like is never going to see the light of day, like Heartland. You know, like,
Oh, they canceled that. So, of course. So,
yeah. But like, that's something that they've been working on since like 2019.
yeah. Or X Defiant. Done.
Yeah, X Defiant. Yeah.
Done.
The other one.
What was
that,
the they killed another one that's space or
Battle
that
Royale.
like I know
Hyperspace.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, so like, or Hyperscape. It's one of those things where it's like, it sounds like the,
Dead Gamescape.
yes. the family is trying so hard to like keep Ubisoft like under their control, but if you're an investor, if you're the publicly traded side, you're like, you're the reason we're fucked. Like, you're managing this in the wrong direction. So like, why would anyone give you more money or give you valuable IPs at pennies on the dollar? So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen to Ubisoft.
And then like right off the bat, like, so if let's just talk in hypotheticals, if this does happen, so like Guillermo Mont, whatever, gaming, GM Gaming, I don't know what the hell to call it. Yeah. I'm tired of saying the name.
The family. We'll just say the family.
Yeah, the family. And then
because it's a bunch of brothers.
Right, is one division, is one gaming company, and Ubisoft is another gaming company. Who gets to keep their relationship with Nintendo?
It depends on who gets to keep Rabbids and Just Dance.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, it's just kind of like, that's probably, to be honest with you, now that you just brought it up, Just Dance is probably the most valuable IP under Ubisoft's library.
Yeah, it has the lowest overhead, and you can pump them out every couple months.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that thing came to Nintendo 64 last year.
It might as well could have. Like, they could have done it if they wanted to. But yeah, no, it's one of those things where it's just like it's a messy thing that Ubisoft's trying to pull off, and it feels like every time we get one of these news stories, they are closer and closer to just disappearing.
The staff is going to get so screwed if this happens.
100%.
The employees are just going to get dicked.
Because if you're Tencent, you already have development studios. You just want the IP. Because then you can develop it cheaper in China than anything. I mean, look at Marvel Rivals. That's NetEase, but like that's fully developed in China, and I'm sure it was a lot cheaper than like Western developed games. So it's one of those things where I don't know where Ubisoft's going to end up by the end of this year, because seems like it's been more and more desperate of a company to try and figure out their financials.
And publicly, they've been quiet in terms of trailer releases or Ubisoft's forwards, or like, I mean, just game announcements. Like I'm not getting. I don't feel like we're getting very many emails from them with trailers and stuff like that. Like, it's just as an example.
We'll talk about what's delayed. But yeah, no, like, but I also think that's because they don't have shit in development right now, because they had to cancel everything because of the financial issues, and they realized they made bad directions.
Right.
Like, they're far away on a lot of stuff, the same way, like, Naughty Dog is far away on some games because they had to cancel a big game that they were all hands on deck on. So,
I mean, the scary part,
when you have,
excuse me, just as a point of reference, like, how much Ubisoft is struggling. We talked about like Far Cry 1 through 6, all arguably being top 5 NPD charted games per year that come out. Agreed?
Yeah.
We haven't gotten a Far Cry game since 2021.
Yeah, which is crazy.
We don't even know. I'm sure Far Cry 7 is in development. I hope. But if it's not even announced, which it's not, I would say 2027 at this point.
Yeah, they usually do a year out announcement, and then a game comes out.
Yeah, so maybe holiday 2026. Maybe. Because we'd probably see it at like Game Awards or at the Keeley's or whatever, in the Keeley's E3. Or their Ubisoft Forward in June if they do that. But I'm just saying, like, that's the real scary part. Now you're going 6 years. I'd have to go back and see the cadence of the other ones.
And the last one didn't have as long a tail as the other ones. Still sold really well, but it didn't, like... Far Cry usually releases in the first half of the year, and it's there every month on NPDs. The last one didn't have that luxury, though. It's still sold
the
really
rumor
well
is that it's in development, but it's getting complexities in development. Shocking, and it's being pushed to 2026. Pretty much what I just kind of said without knowing that. Sorry.
Which means it'll be announced this summer, come out next summer,
right,
and then probably sell really well out the gate, and then it's a matter of like.
Or they're going to try to games as service it and season pass it and or seasonal content or quarterly content in or whatever, like they've done with some games. They've been successful. Obviously, Valhalla, they did a good job with it, but Odyssey was considered to be like massively big. Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I really, really, really enjoyed Far Cry 5 story, the cult thing, and I really like that. I have 6 and I haven't finished it. Nothing wrong with it. I haven't finished many games. So
yeah, but I know a lot of people that were like that with Far Cry 6.
Yeah,
it was just like, oh, okay, it came out. All right, we'll move on from Ubisoft because I'm sure that's going to be a continuous story the rest of the year. We were looking at now the Switch 2 leaked, probably, possibly, allegedly, for sure, definitely did. So Nintendo apparently are on the verge of announcing a Switch 2. Part of the reason we're recording today on a Wednesday is because there was rumors that it was happening Thursday. But after a bunch of leaks, it sounds like Nintendo will be announcing the Switch 2 sooner rather than later, because at this point, there's not much to talk about for Nintendo outside of what games are developing for it. So the leaks start with the motherboard. The motherboard dimensions of the physical unit and accessories have all been leaked with actual pictures of boards, accessories. There was a actual molding that was on the CES floor because accessory makers were on CES's floor talking about their product lines. So this thing's out there, basically. So from the leaks, the
first of all,
pictures
Nintendo's pissed.
So apparently the company that had the moldings on their show floor, apparently Nintendo lawyers came to CES to specifically talk with them and get those removed.
Get on a plane now.
Yeah. The funny thing
to
is...
the Nintendo lawyer, somebody like...
Yeah. But the fact that the accessories then disappeared from CES means it just confirms that they're real.
Yep.
Like Nintendo was probably...
They could have just left them alone and Nintendo's like, yeah, whatever. They're not real. Like,
yeah. But then they're just like, we had to remove them from the floor. It's
how
like,
cute. Like,
yeah.
Take them away now.
So we have pictures of the board now that are
Do you
floating
imagine
around.
them in like suits with like little Mario pins, like in sunglasses, like walking in?
I
CS
guarantee
or something?
there's like the little lapels with this little logo, and
little
just
Triforce logo, like Mario with a Triforce hat on or something like that.
Like you don't even have to say like, oh, who are you? You know, like it's very serious lawyers are here now.
It's like a Texas Ranger badge. I work for Nintendo. Get out the way.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It parts the sea, basically, of like people, especially.
It's me, Nintendo. Take it down.
Yep. People just running servers are just like nervous because like, shit, there might be a Mario sticker on my computer or some shit. All right, so the motherboard has been leaked. A lot of people are saying the pictures are real. It is going to be powered by NVIDIA, like the Switch 1 has. And based on what people can see on the board, it looks like it's going to be as powerful as a PS4, maybe a PS4 Pro. Mm-hmm. Some people were freaking out.
Which is par for the course.
Yeah. Some people were freaking out because they thought there was a chance it could be PS5 levels of power, or at least Xbox Series S.
Not in a handheld. No chance. Yeah. So I'm sorry.
Possible, but not for Nintendo.
Yeah.
Like, who want to keep this as cheap as possible.
It's like we talked about, like maybe in docked form. Maybe. But not when you undock.
And some of the leaks have indicated that it is going to get a nice performance boost when docked.
Good.
Which is good to hear. But yeah, so we're looking at PS4 to PS4 Pro level of graphics and, like spec-wise power, which honestly for Nintendo is not terrible. It just means you're not going to get any crazy games running on this, but I don't think anyone really gives a shit. Or at least I don't. As long as the Nintendo games run smooth, that's all I kind of care about. The other things that were noted is we're going to get a slightly bigger screen, not much. And also the Joy-Cons are going to be a little bit bigger as well, which I'm sure Dave is going to be like, yes, even if it's just slightly bigger, he's going to be like, thank God. And the Joy-Cons are going to have like some magnetic connection on it, so it's not going to just be like the full slide that it currently is. It's going to be a more magnetic thing, which I imagine is going to be fine for adults, but I'm just like, I wonder how Owen's going to be with like magnets that could potentially be like popped off really
By the time this thing comes out, he's going to be 10 or 11 years old, so he better know how to do it.
There you go.
So,
yeah.
He's 9, so he does pretty good with it. But he gets annoyed because he moves the Switch around a lot in his hands, like when he's like, or he's walking with it or whatever, and he'll have to like slide them off and slide them back on because they'll disconnect.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's just over time, my Switch is old. It's not the old. I don't think it's the OLED. So
no,
it's not. Yeah, yeah. So it's wearing down. I probably did kind of a bad thing today. And bought a light on sale, like for $170 or something like that. I had some other credits because I'm getting kind of tired of Owen fussing about the disconnecting Joy-Cons. So the light doesn't have that. So maybe we'll see. I might still return it. Like, I don't know, but I was like, oh, is this thing coming out? And then, but at the same time, it's still not going to be bad to have that. I don't, obviously no new Switch games are going to work on the old Switch, but, we'll see.
At least it might buy you some time with the new Switch for yourself before it becomes Owen's machine.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably not, but we'll hope.
Yeah. So slightly a bigger Switch. There's comparison videos of the 3D model that was printed at CES compared to the other Switch. So it looks like it's a decent upgrade all overall. I mean, of course, there's a little disappointment because it is a very boring new generation for Nintendo. But I feel like Nintendo does a boring generation upgrade from time to time. NES to SNES wasn't gigantic. N64 to GameCube was okay.
It's all going to just depend on the titles. It's going to depend on the titles. If they can get Metroid Prime 4 out on both, like they did with Zelda Twilight Princess and they did with some other, Breath of the Wild, they'll be fine. I mean, people are going to, it's going to sell out for pre-orders. Like, this is Nintendo. So I'm just hoping that, I mean, are we thinking this is this year?
Yeah, it is going to be this year, is what everyone's pointing to. It'll be similar to last year where I think they showed it in January and then it was out in the summer, fall. So I imagine this is going to be their holiday thing. It sounds like Nintendo was ready to release this a year or two ago, but they wanted to make sure they had stock and inventory ready because Nintendo doesn't want to, there's gonna be shortages on it. And Nintendo's aware of it, but they're gonna try and avoid it because they actually want to sell their shit. They don't need false scarcity to move product. So it sounds like this will be this holiday, maybe this summer as well. All the upgrades sound like they're smart upgrades. They're all slight upgrades that are stuff that I wanted on this one. The only thing that's going to suck is it's not going to be an OLED screen. Sounds like it's going to be an LCD screen, which is kind of a bummer. But that just means there'll be an upgrade in a couple years down the road where they'll have an OLED screen edition.
Right.
But Dave, does it sound like something that you would buy day one? Or
yeah, I mean, day one, I'd have to see some software titles. But if they do Mario Odyssey 2, yes, I won't have a choice.
Yeah, I'm just the backwards compatibility thing was confirmed before. I'm hoping it's cartridge backwards compatibility and not this digital. We'll find out. I know Nintendo will sell cartridges on the next generation, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the old cartridges will be backwards compatible. They could do something where they make the cartridges slightly different size for the Switch 2, and then it makes it uncompatible.
Did they say anything about 2 game slots?
No, nothing that I saw seems like it's 1 game slot. So that's the only thing that we don't know is we don't know what type of cartridge they're working with.
They could go the 3DS route where they the new Switch 2 games have the little flag on the top right corner that I mean, I know it sounds dumb, but they did that where it won't go into a DS, but it went into a 3DS or something. Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. I do think the announcement is soon. It could still be this week. Nintendo usually sometimes will give 24-hour notice, so we could get an announcement at the end of the week. I imagine they're not happy, though, because they wanted to do their review. Especially, this isn't an exciting upgrade. So, having all of their stuff this out in the open just makes their eventual announcement less impressive. And based off the rumors, their announcement was going to just be here's the hardware, we'll show you games next month. So it could be one of those things where now they're scrambling of shit, we need to show games now because all the stuff we were going to show people have basically already seen. Because you can't just have a presentation and be screen's an inch bigger, the Joy-Cons are 10% larger. That's not exciting anymore because now we know that and we actually have pictures of all of that. They're going to have to show some games. And hopefully it's more than just here's Metroid Prime 4 because it's coming to Switch 1. The logo also leaked. It is a very boring logo, and it sounds like they are going with Switch 2. But whatever. Switch 2 is fine. I wish it was Super Switch or something. Something Nintendo-y, not the Switch 2. And the logos that were leaked look fucking ugly as hell, but whatever. We'll see how that ends up going. But yeah, that is the Nintendo Switch leaks, and we'll find out probably next week what the actual Switch is. and then I'll be hunting to pre-order the fuck out of it when it comes out.
All right. So kind of circling back to Ubisoft now, we're going to jump into what's delayed. So go ahead here.
Yeah. Ubisoft is delaying Assassin's Creed Shadows. It was originally supposed to come out in February. Now it is coming out in March. Apparently the month delay is so they could fix stuff from player feedback, which a month doesn't sound like that is enough time to do that. But we'll see. This is the second or third time this game has been delayed. And I think this now pushes it closer to whenever the Ghost game comes out from Sucker Punch, because I think that's still due in the first half of this year, which will not do any favors for Assassin's Creed Shadows, which, Dave, for something coming out in March now, I feel like they've done a horrible job of hyping this game up, especially how they have usually hyped up Assassin's Creed games. It's usually you can't go anywhere without seeing Assassin's Creed for like 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is going to come out in March.
Right. It's not, it's kind of be like one of those ones, like they're struggling and then they kind of are sending something off to die, it feels like.
Yeah. Which is going to just make their sale to Tencent just so much more attractive, which just like, at a certain point, that board has to be like, is this family like nosediving it so the price is more attractive for Tencent to purchase? Because it just seems weird how they're running things right now. It seems like a badly run sports team, which me and Dave know a lot about.
The Bears. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. The Bulls, the White Sox. Pistons are okay now.
Yeah, Detroit, the city of Detroit, from a sports standpoint, has three major sports teams that are currently playing, has one loss in 2025 currently.
I'm like, basketball, okay. Yeah.
And the Pistons are the ones that have the one loss. And for the record, they've been terrible, so they're already like 8 games better than they were the entire season last year. So,
yeah, they won 13 games last year.
Yeah, they got 18 or 19 wins right now, or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm almost to the point where I might watch them. Like, almost.
They're going to be really exciting in like 2-3 years.
Yeah, I keep hearing that.
Yeah.
All right,
I believe in Cade Cunningham.
Speaking of playing and watching stuff, we're going to do playing and watching. So mine's a little weird. I haven't played personally a lot of stuff just because of the holidays and everything like that. I did actually take the first step and I purchased things. I have bought Astrobot. I have bought Dragon Age. I've been playing bits and pieces of Destiny 2. And I've been playing my online Dynasty on Xbox. Doing really well, except for there's one team and / player in the league that's just like way better than everybody else, and he's just not fun to play against, like, at all. Everything else is usually a fairly competitive game of like, okay, I lost that because of XYZ, not this dude is just ridiculous.
An unemployed friend.
Yeah, I don't know anything about him, so he's a friend of a friend, so I'm not saying anything. However, watching, I got to watch the Lions win the division. In a great game, just to see them. So I have back-to-back division titles. I have a division championship shirt on right now. So, don't shake your head at me. You'd be doing the same thing. Well, you're not even a football fan. You'd be buying a Bulls playoff run shirt if they actually could make it.
No, surprisingly, no. Like, I don't buy that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. I have a Scott Podsednik Worlds. I will buy something if they win the actual championship.
Okay.
But not divisional runs.
Yeah, I mean, this is the second division they've won since I was like 8. So
yeah,
it's got some, and I love football. Watched a lot of the college football playoffs and stuff like that. Those have some been kind of mediocre. Watched some NFL playoffs. We bought a PSVR 2.
You stupid man.
Angela wants to do Beat Saber as part of her 2025 thing. So it was like $320 though, like with Horizon.
Yeah.
So
I could see myself buying one on the next sale.
Yeah. But... I have it. So right now we have Beat Saber. I have not even put the code in for the Horizon game. A couple of people told me like the beginning of the Horizon game is like absolutely beautiful in VR. So I just need to do it. I have not physically put the headset on since we bought it like 3 or 4 days before Christmas. I have not put the headset on my head yet. Other than I think one time just to make sure it actually would fit. with that, I actually did something that I don't normally, that I've been kind of going against for a little while, but because the library was a little bit better and it was there, upgraded Plus to the highest tier.
It's premium?
Well, there was VR. I don't know if I needed to go that high, but it was just easier.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's like, I don't remember if it was premium or essential or base. I don't know what the terms are. But there's like 20 PSVR 2 games on there.
Yeah.
And the other thing that was on there that I almost bought, and I will buy it if I need to, but still haven't played it yet, but downloaded it. Plucky Squire is part of Plus, essential or premium or whatever. So
the middle tier.
Yeah, that's on my list. Like that's kind of, but again, like most of you know or don't know, and we haven't really recorded for like a month, but like my change of store has kind of taken up some of my time and energy, mental energy. So that's kind of affecting some things too, as well as like this weekend we're going down to Kentucky to see Parker. I have not seen Parker since he was born, and he's 3 months old. So I'm trying to be a good grandpa.
Part of me was like, "Who the hell is Parker?" And I remember it's been so long.
Yeah,
Like, who the hell are you talking
and
about?
Probably last time we talked, he was only 2 months old. So there's definitely a lot of that going on, and just kind of trying to navigate and figure that out. And I was kind of, I'm in this weird space of like. I almost bought Dragon Age on the PC, but it was on sale on PlayStation and PC. I always forget that Jonathan, my oldest, has another PlayStation 5 in Kentucky. And if I digitally buy Dragon Age, he has access to it. So the pros and cons that I'm weighing of like, oh, I can buy it on Steam, play it on my ROG, and have it on my PC. Or I can buy it on PlayStation and my family can enjoy it. And so it's just kind of this going back and forth, the dynamic. That I'm struggling with. Movie wise, we saw Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I know you're not the biggest fan of him necessarily all the time, but I thought Jim Carrey was great.
Oh no, I was a fan of Jim Carrey like growing up and all that stuff like that.
I thought he was great in Sonic.
Yeah. He just did horrible damage to my generation's view of comedy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he was great in Sonic 3. Sonic 3 was really good. I saw it in the theater day one, which trying to find a light way to put it. It was definitely a theater experience.
Kid Central.
Little kids, and then just like adults on the spectrum that are really into DeviantArt that were just like
we were
cheering at the weirdest moments during that movie, and I'm just sitting there just like, we can't even hear him talk and you guys are freaking the fuck out. Like what is going on right now?
So we were supposed to see it on Christmas Eve. And I got sick. Shocking. Like really sick. But we ended up seeing it like last week, I think. I'm losing track of time because like the kids, Owen and Angela, went back to school and work like this week. But we saw it, and I'm gonna get the term wrong, and you're gonna roll your eyes at me or whatever. But I saw it in the 280-degree theater.
Oh, see, I don't know.
Yeah, like they put extended images on the walls.
Okay.
For some scenes, like so it gave it like kind of, I guess it gave it like more depth. So it didn't affect anything, and it was cool, but then it also sometimes was kind of a distraction. But it was like one of these things where it's like, so do you remember, and trying to not spoil, but do you remember the part in the movie where Shadow is picking up or helping Sonic get up? Like near the end, and he puts his hand out. And so in like and I'm assuming this, but your view, you really only saw like Shadow's like elbow down, right?
Yeah.
I saw all of Shadow on the right-hand wall.
Oh, okay, so it's just like full, like super widescreen.
Yeah, and it was interesting. It didn't do it all the time, so it did like it wasn't constantly like that, but it was definitely cool. And our theater has like those VIP seats where it's like a set of 3 seats with the coat hooks on each side, and you're kind of like you're not close to somebody else, so like you can get a set of 2, you can get a set of 3. We have a really really nice theater, like 5 minutes from our house. Like we love it, and so like love reclining seats and the heated seats and all that fun stuff. The only thing they don't do is like bring you food.
Which honestly I prefer because
nobody's walking around. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
but and this is even the one that has like the movie theater with the bar in it and everything. Even though I don't, you know me, I don't drink a ton, but every once in a while I'm like that's cool. So you can go get a mixed drink or get a cocktail or get a glass of beer. Yeah, it's and then we started watching Skeleton Crew on Disney Plus, with the Star Wars stuff, mainly with Owen. So trying to watch that with Owen because it's kind of it seems like it's a little semi kid preteen centric. Pretty good so far. I watched the first episode of Shifting Gears with Tim Allen and Kate Denning. I don't know. I fell down the rabbit hole watching like Two Broke Girls for like all 6 seasons of it when I was. I know. I'm just saying.
When your friends are going through, like you're going through some shit. Watching Two Broke Girls. God,
leave me alone.
It's funny. Ever since you started to say like, "Oh, I'm watching Two Broke Girls," like TikTok heard that and then was just sharing clips.
Well, you don't have to worry about that in 4 days, okay?
Yeah, I guess so.
So, that's mostly it for me. I, at this point in time, feel like I need to start treating my video game playing like I do my work and like make a list and prioritize stuff, like, and kind of like manage myself to play video games. So like I need a 30, 60, 90-day plan for playing video games. Because I just come home and I signed up for a basketball league. Got my ass kicked today. So I'm actually pretty healthy, believe it or not. Hence my coughing has been since I played like 5 9-minute scrimmages of basketball, and I'm old. Like I'm old. This is a old person's league too. Like I'm playing in those leagues of like, oh, look at how cute that is. Like 10 years ago, like, oh, look, that's cool. There's a 40 and over league over there. And like, now I am like that dude.
Oh, that's cute.
No, I'm just using that reference. Like, oh, look at the old men playing basketball. That's good. They're staying in shape. Now I'm that good. I'm that guy. And I'm not in shape. So,
well, Dave, if you need to make a list, I would say Indiana Jones and a Great Circle would be a good start of games.
I started that.
It's got a good intro. Like they do a good thing of just like, hey, here's the,
I almost saw the logo.
So you didn't even beat the part from the first movie?
I don't remember.
Okay. Or not the first movie. They make you replay a scene
before Christmas.
Yeah.
I did that part. Yes, I did the rolling boulder. I did that.
Okay. And then you were exploring the library.
Yeah, and where it kept telling me I was putting the wrong thing on the wrong shelf. That was irritating.
Yeah. Well, you're supposed to pay attention, Dave. You're supposed to know what those countries are and their artifacts, Dave.
Dude, I barely graduated high school. So.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
No, I know. I'm just like trying to think of like okay.
And
I
damn sure did not pay attention to social studies. I can promise you that. Even though my wife is a history major, I'll just bring her in when I play.
So if those are basically like, hey, put the Jordans in the right era,
oh, just slam dunk, dunk.
You nailed the shit out of that.
Yep.
That'll be Indiana Jones in
put
like
all the
50
position
years.
Put all the position players for basketball or baseball or football in the appropriate spots. Done.
It's this Indiana.
Identify a country's flag. Not a chance.
the Indiana Jones in 50 years from now is going to be like, who was Jordan's teammates? Yeah. And that's going to how you're going to solve the puzzle.
100%. I would pick something up, put it down. They'd say no. I'd move it somewhere else. They'd say no. I'd move it somewhere else. They'd say no. I put it on the floor, pick something else up, put it down. They said yes. I'm like, cool. And I kept going.
Oh, God. No wonder you stopped shortly after that.
Leave me alone.
I would say, though, Indiana Jones, I haven't finished it, but like halfway through it, it's really entertaining game. The puzzles are like that, so nothing like super complicated, but like if you're not wanting to pay attention, it could be a little frustrating. I still halfway through the game don't know how I feel about it being in first person. A good chunk of the game, but for the most part, I think it's a fine game. I remember before it came out, I'm just like, oh, this is going to be a Game of the Year contender. They really should have released it earlier. It's like I kind of see why they're like, we don't need to be in contention for Game of the Year because it's not quite on that level. But it's definitely a competent game. They didn't do the game any favors, though, releasing it in December because it like quickly kind of left everyone's attention. And then when it comes to me, what ultimately distracted me from continuing Indiana Jones, which I'm hoping to finish this weekend, is Marvel Rivals came out in December. And that has eaten up a lot of my time. I'm at 95 hours, according to Marvel Rivals. It's funny. It's been a kind of slow burn that like slowly picked up. And
What's your definition of slow burn?
No, so like when it first came out, like December 6th or whatever, I played a couple rounds and like I maybe put like 2-3 hours the first weekend, and it's been like every week I put more and more hours into it. To where like now it's become a nightly tradition as opposed to before where it's like I would go like 3 days between playing again. So like the first week it came out, I probably put like 2-3 hours into it, and then by like the third week, I'm putting like 10 hours into that game a week, and now I'm playing it every night for 2 hours.
I was gonna say, just for the record, 96 divided by 40 is 2.5 a day.
Yeah, no, like
it's been out for 40 days.
No, but like
I get it. I guess I understand your slow burn part of it. Of like, the first week was like 5 hours, which is not helping your case because now it's 4 weeks of 90 hours. Like,
well, no, that's basically how it kind of happened.
I got you. I'm just giving you shit.
Yeah. Especially when I'm like, this game is, it's an Overwatch clone, like unapologetically. Anyone that says it isn't, it is. But it's a better Overwatch clone it's a better Overwatch than Overwatch in many different aspects. But it's one of those things where
Concord.
Oh, 100%.
Sorry.
It is one of those things where if you remember when Overwatch first came out, like I was instantly hooked on Overwatch and was instantly like, oh, I stayed up till 6-7 in the morning.
Yeah,
playing.
I also feel like Overwatch that year was a slow burn and it ended up just destroying everything. Like after like the first 6 months when people learned and understood and figured it out.
Yeah, and that is definitely happening here, but it feels like at a faster pace. Like they hit 20 million players. It helps it's free to play.
Yeah. And it helps it's Marvel.
It helps that it's Marvel. It's got really good character design. It's got funny like writing. They have modes just ready to go. Like they were fully prepared for this. They're already in first season. They had a preseason and a first season. And they dropped 2 new heroes. They dropped Mr. Fantastic.
That's the thing I'm seeing most on some of my my Destiny follow, like is they've kind of like Destiny's struggling right now, and they're like, oh, let's go check out Marvel, and then you're starting to see stuff show up on my feed of like, here's the proper way to use Invisible Woman. That's a character, right? Yeah. So like the roster, I'm just impressed with the roster.
Well, because they had like almost 30 characters to start, and then a month later, they're like, here's 2 more characters, and they're like, guess what? In 6 weeks, we're gonna add 2 more characters.
Yeah, and they can pull random crap. Random Marvel character stuff and make them playable and vital and necessary. Like I'm thinking, I'm thinking about it, but again, I have such a backlog. Anyways, a couple people that my small group of gaming are playing it, and I'm like, So I guess my first question to you is, does it have cross-platform play?
Yes.
Does it have cross progression? Can I play it on PC and play it on PS5 and have the same character?
I haven't checked to see if it's cross progression.
Okay.
But it is cross play. So I haven't seen a linked account. I'm just playing it on PlayStation.
Okay.
But I could definitely check that out just to see. But for the most part, like the gameplay's fun, and I think so for Overwatch, after a little bit of time with Overwatch, I could only play ranked mode to feel anything. This game, I actually can play unranked and their arcade mode and actually have a decent to fun time. The problem I always had with Overwatch is at a certain point, like if I just wasn't in a mood to play seriously, I would still go into comp because that would be the only way I could like have enjoyment in that game, even if I'm dead tired. But this game, I'm going into unranked. Hell, I'm even going in practice against AI because I just kind of like playing the game, and there's so many in-game achievements that you can do, and dailies, monthlies, goals specific to each character, to where I'm just like, fuck it, I'm just going to hop in against AI and work my way through some of these achievements. Like, they built a very robust system, and it actually wants you to play as all the different characters because of all these various achievements. They want you to do different team-ups, and there's a lot of stuff you're working towards, and you're not necessarily working towards like unlocking more cosmetics because their battle pass system isn't great, but it's okay. But like, because they made all the characters kind of fun to play and interesting, you're willing to experiment and do some of the dailies that require you to play a specific character. And if you're not really feeling like doing that in ranked play or unranked play, you could go do that against AI.
Do they have the season pass system never expires, or battle pass doesn't expire? You can always work on previous ones, or is that a different game?
That's a different game.
Okay.
Unless it changes, because they did a cheaper battle pass for season 0.
Okay.
And none of that progressed over to season 1. So
but can you go back and work on season 0?
No. You
okay.
can't
There's a game that allows that.
Yeah, who knows? It could be this game for
Yeah,
future seasons, but
right.
Season 0 is a different.
I was going to ask you, so like, what's the return on investment for your effort? Because that's kind of where these free to play games and these games as a service are. Like, what's the ROI?
So I mean, basically, it's just going to be like
Besides being fun, which is the most important thing, by the way. So
well, I would say that is number one still,
Okay.
because like the stuff you're unlocking in the battle pass is going to be like skins,
Yeah.
not a lot of skins, a lot of like spray paints and stuff like that. So like little trinkets, but for the most part, it's going to be the fun of why you're doing it, and then also like the different daily and monthly challenges that refresh. So the dailies refresh every day, obviously, but the monthly, they give you 3 extra monthly tasks every day to do on top of that.
Jeez.
That don't expire for
And those are
30 days
XP
or
chunks?
40 days. Yeah.
Okay.
That you can use to build towards the battle pass. And those can be like anywhere from like, hey, take 50,000 damage, play as Jeff the Land Shark, play as Invisible Woman, this sort, stuff like that. And then you also get the option of you can re-roll up to 3 times the daily and the monthly tasks. So if you get one you just don't want to do, you can refresh that up to 3 times per day, so you can constantly like, take your chances of like re-rolling, and then hopefully you get like a task you want to do. But then there's also like, there's a seasonal event right now, and there are like 2 additional arcade modes that are like Team Deathmatch or a free-for-all sort of stuff with its own map sets. That is interesting, and all the characters have specific dialogue to that specific map. So if you want to hear all the different dialogue options that pop up in the game, or like the conversations, you want to do that. But for the most thing, the thing that's going to be driving you in this game is it's just fun to play. And there's a ton of strategy because there's a ton of heroes. There's a lot of different counters. You do have the problem where there is a lot of like residual Overwatch stuff going on, where you have a lot of people that are like, you need to play this like Overwatch, and will demand like you need to do 2 tanks, 2 healers, 2 DPS. And for the most part, you can just tell those people to just fuck all the way off, because for the most part, like, if you just want to play your character, you can play your character and you can be successful as long as you know how to play that character and know counters and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've been in games where there's 6 DPSs and we win just because everyone's just kind of on their shit and know what to do. As long as you know how to counter and interact with characters. I don't really feel like there's any characters that are like, they're so, they have a counter that completely makes them like pointless to play. Like, I feel like for the most part, if there is a character that's going against you on the other team that is your counter, if you maneuver the right way, you can get by the fact that you have someone who's playing specifically to counter you. Mm-hmm. So you don't feel completely canceled out, or you have to switch characters. You can learn to adapt and use the map to your advantage to try and survive. So,
nice.
Playing the hell out of that. I already have my set of characters. I'm happy because in Overwatch, I really just had like 3 characters that I was like really good at. And if those characters were picked, I would be kind of useless for that comp round. This one, I feel like I have like 6 characters that I can go to, and then there's like another dozen that I'm like okay at playing and I feel comfortable with. Of course, when I play those characters, voice chat is off. I mute the chat, so when people are like, you suck at playing this character, and it's just like, you fuckers picked my top 3 choices, so I have to play this character. But for the most part, it's been super fun. Having a lot of fun with it. Like, as soon as we're done here, Dave, I'm going to hop on Marvel Rivals and play a little bit and get some comp games in. Though I will say the comp is kind of a pain because they start everyone in Bronze 3 and you got to work your way up. And then at the end of the season, I believe they said they're going to knock you 5 to 7 tiers down so you can work your way back up the following season. So they got rid of like the weird mystery calculations that Overwatch was doing. Yeah. Where you would get to a tier, like I would get to Diamond, and then next season it'd be like, you're Silver now.
Yeah.
And it's
go
like,
do your placement. Okay.
Yeah. So like you actually have to earn your way through. There's less of a mystery calculation happening. So I appreciate that. Hopefully it stays that way.
Last question. Do you feel like the game has skill-based matchmaking?
It definitely feels like it does as I've been
Okay.
moving up in
Okay.
the comp rating. In unranked, I don't really see
It should be.
much
Well, first of all,
matchmaking.
SBMM. Yeah. Sorry, that sounded worse. Skill-based matchmaking should be in competitive. 100% should be
Yeah.
in competitive. You should be going against people that are the same rank as you. Period. Like, I mean, that's kind of like, and then, but I don't think it should be in unranked modes. I think that should be something, to your point, that you can kick back, have fun, and not feel like you have to sit up and get in the video game position and lean forward. And you want to be able to like sit on the couch, maybe listen to a podcast or have a discussion with your partner and play the game. And not feel like you're gonna have like, oh my gosh, I have to like, oh, they picked that person, like, whatever.
Yeah. I haven't
that
really
has
noticed.
to exist, and it has to, in order for this game to have any long-term legs. That comfortability of back and forth has to exist.
Yeah, and I feel like there's enough matchmaking going on the back end to where you can just hop into unranked.
20 million
and
players
have
are
a good
better.
time. Yeah,
So-
and also, man, because of 20 million players, like matchmaking is like 2 seconds.
That's great.
So, like-
I just hope it lasts. Like, that's the thing, man. Like, I hope it lasts, and I just hope it's not like the only one that I feel like has legs right now is Fortnite. Like,
Yeah, but
so-
I think they were smart though, and they're saying like, hey, every 6 weeks we're gonna have characters.
yeah, for sure,
coming
content.
out.
Like
Yeah.
a roadmap, shocking, a plan.
Yeah.
So like,
Turns out, because it's like right now, like everyone's just like really excited after the first week with half the Fantastic Four of like,
and
cool, we're getting
just
more.
not trying to reinvent the wheel. Like, no offense to Concord, but like there was no foundation built to that game. Like, this foundation, whether people like it or don't like it, is Marvel. Like, and that's a
'Cause Dave, like-
fantastic foundation. Like, I'll play because I'll be like, oh, it'll be cool to do something with Thor. I don't even know if he's in the game, but
He is.
yeah. So I mean, like, that's just like, and like that's cool.
Yeah. And I think what's going to be key, though, is like the way they announced at the beginning of the season, the Fantastic Four are coming.
Yeah.
And then day one of the new season, 2 people from the Fantastic Four were available. And they're like, the next 2 are going to be available in like a month and a half.
And it doesn't sound like it's a ridiculous grind to get them, right? They're just there.
They're just there. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. It's just a grind to get their costumes. And they sell a bunch of cosmetics as well. So if you have the money, you could just buy the costume.
Yeah, but it's to your point, it's just a costume.
Yeah, exactly. But they're also smart. Like all the movie costumes, you have to buy those.
Good for them.
Yeah. So it's just like, I really want the Snow
Because
Way
I
Home
bet you they had to
Spider-Man.
pay somebody for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Because they're
shocking.
paying Disney for that shit.
Yeah, like
But I think what's going to be smart for them, or at least I hope they do it, already people data mine the characters coming, like the next 10 characters. But if they're smart, as soon as The Thing and or Human Torch release, they should be like, Cyclops and Colossus are coming next.
right.
You know, they need to just immediately tell people, like, don't go anywhere, because in a couple weeks,
They
more
need those
people are coming.
days. Hey man, we got to get on Thursday night. Cyclops is dropping. We got to do it.
Yeah.
Like those conversations need to happen in an office or on a Discord chat on a Monday afternoon of like, hey, we all got to play on Thursday. Like, we're all going to be like, and I don't even
The
know if we can
X-Men
do-
are coming.
Yeah, I don't even know if we can do this. We're all going to be Wolverine. Like, I don't know if that's possible. I don't think it is, but it's, you know. All right, we're gonna rock paper scissors to see who goes first. That's the type of conversation and community and groups they need to build, and this game will thrive.
You know, especially like if you look at I love the team up thing that they have. It's something that's like from Ultimate Alliance. Is like, okay, so if you put Magneto and Scarlet Witch on the same team, their father-daughter, they're gonna have special abilities because they're together on a team. So when all 4 Fantastic Four characters are on a team when they all release, they're probably going to do cool abilities that they can team up with. They should do that, you know, like when they release more X-Men characters, because then people are going to be like, fuck, we got to jump on Thursday and we need 6 X-Men on the same team.
Yeah.
Because I want to see what we could do with all 6 X-Men on the same team. And that's something
Like
that
a
they
human
can actually
pyramid.
do.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
It's something random. You know, it's just like when they add Colossus to the game, which I think he was leaked. Colossus does the thing where he throws Wolverine.
Yeah.
You know?
Or
Like-
when you pull it off, like that's a clip that goes on social media and people are like, that looks cool. I want to do that too. Like that's where the success comes from. Or if it's watchable on Twitch. Yes, everybody older than me is going to roll their eyes. Like that's important in the gaming world right now.
Yeah, when people outside of the U.S. are looking on TikTok, they're going to get a bunch of videos of like Marvel Rivals stuff. Like it is really a lot of potential of what they could do with the character roster. And then, like the stuff being data mined of what characters are coming in the future just has me more excited because there's a ton of characters and I'm like, I want to play as these characters and I will stick around. And if they actually hit their every other month, every 6 weeks, that's going to be crucial to keep me paid attention to where like, okay, I saw there's like 4 characters I'm really interested in playing. If we're doing every 6 weeks, okay, you have me for half a year now.
Yeah. On a random Wednesday night in January, 151,000 people are currently watching Marvel Rivals.
Yeah.
More than League, more than Minecraft, more than Counter-Strike. Like, it's real. It's really real.
Yeah. And when they drop bigger characters
Yep.
as new characters, you're going to see those numbers spike.
Or tournaments,
throughout the course.
Twitch Rivals, like just
there's already a tablet for
yeah.
Their tournament mode stuff that you
Awesome.
can sign up for and like the seasonal modes and stuff like that. So yeah.
People might not like NetEase, but they know what they're doing.
Yeah, they actually did the thing we always complained about other companies not doing of like they would look at Destiny and be like, we need a clone of that, but then they would make the same mistakes Destiny made.
Correct.
And this one looked at Overwatch and they actually looked at the mistakes Overwatch made and were like, let's avoid those
and
mistakes.
then saw Overwatch 2 and goes, okay, totally different direction now.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, Marvel Rivals, will probably hear me talk about it
Awesome.
Every other week.
I'll love if you have a go-to weekly pattern game again. Like I think that helps content, our conversation in general. So
Yep. But yeah, that's all I for playing and watching.
all right.
Bulls suck, White Sox suck, Bears suck. It's whatever.
Yeah, I mean, not everybody can beat Detroit, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. You were a poverty town for so long, so it's okay.
We're like top 5 best place to live now, or something like that. Some article said that.
Sure.
Yeah, when it's going to be 5 degrees next week.
Yeah, it's currently 8 degrees right now. I'm kind of cold.
All right, we're gonna speed run some of these questions really quick. They're easy. So
do you want to answer this one, or is this a jinx?
No,
Okay.
I got Dan Campbell as head coach, man. I don't give a damn. He's got.
Okay.
So Stefan from Europe, which he won't hear this until next NFL season. But
we gave him a month and a half.
I know, but did you see him? You don't use Facebook anymore. Did you see him like 3 or 4 weeks ago on Facebook? I answered a question or did something in August episode, I think he said.
Yeah.
And I said it doesn't matter. He's not going to hear this till December. He heard it in December.
Damn.
It's like I nailed it. So yeah, Stefan won't hear this until
summer.
Yeah, Memorial Day. There's not even Memorial Day in Europe, but middle of May. No, I'll give him credit. Easter. He'll have it. He'll hear it by Easter. Do you think the Lions have a realistic chance to reach the Super Bowl this year? 100% yes. Yes. What they just did to the Minnesota Vikings and what the Lions injury depleted defense turned Sam Darnold back into Sam Darnold after he'd won 14 games with the Vikings. Like he had, and you're not as big of a football fan, but you'll understand this. The Vikings were inside of the 10-yard line and ran 15 plays inside the 10-yard line, no touchdowns.
I'm like trying to figure out how you even get 15 plays in the 10-yard line.
Well, like 3 or 4 different times, possessions.
Yeah.
They went,
okay.
They went down there 3 or 4 different times and ran a total of like 15 or 16 plays. And they have the best wide receiver in football, and he could not complete a touchdown pass. So what the Lions and they got the week off at this weekend. Like they don't play this weekend. Well, they didn't play last weekend. I'm sorry. They do play this weekend. And their team, our team was just decimated with injuries. Yes, I'm saying our team. Everybody can shove it. Shut up. But no, like the Lions are, they are one of the best offenses in football, and they have a pass-a-viable defense. And there is a possibility that Aiden Hutchinson, who snapped his leg in half in like October, could play in the Super Bowl. And I think if he just dresses and like walks out on the field, like the team's going to be so hyped, it's not even going to matter. Like it's not even going to matter if he plays. Like it's when, like Jordan played with the flu and he did amazing. But even when like, oh, Jordan's just on the court and it mattered,
Yeah, it's everyone's like, well, I got to step up if he's able
Yeah,
to
if he can
do
play with
that.
a broken leg from 12 weeks ago, like I definitely have to play and play well. So yes, I do. I legitimately do think that they have a chance to go to the Super Bowl. And then Grey Ghost writes, which gaming generation is the best? Mine is the beginning of the HD generation, PS3, Xbox 360, the real beginning of online multiplayer gaming consoles. Dang, Tom, you're old. So for me, it's simply going to be the PS4. And the PS4 was, I had a PS3, but and I enjoyed it. I didn't have I really like intermittently had a PS1 or PS2. I barely did any of that. PS3 kind of started me into the PlayStation thing. The PSN outage is what kind of introduced me to the PSN store, which introduced me to Uncharted, with blah, 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 which then kind of like introduced me to obviously like our prior history of like the PSN or the PS Nation like Facebook group and that community and those people that I still communicate with now. And then the PS4 came out and it just took off for me. Like whether it was Destiny or Battlefield or any of that stuff, like that's the generation that's the best for me because that's the memory I have the most of. There always being a party chat going, playing something, Killzone, Battlefield, Destiny, like it didn't matter. Like, and that was the fun thing of like coming home from work and playing video games with my friends all the time.
Yeah. Well, yeah, for me, it is going to be the PS3 because that's where basically all of my like social online gaming came from. It was also the first like generation I actually bought the console myself, which I think is important to a lot of people. But yeah, no, I just felt like that was when like video game creativity was at its peak in terms of like indies were just becoming a thing. There was a lot of experimental things. Not only were indies just becoming a thing, you still had major companies taking chances on video games and experimenting. Like some residual stuff from like the PS2 era where companies were like, let's try this weird thing. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Whatever. Like, we'll just make it a downloadable thing. But you were also getting a lot of good like AA games being published both physically and digitally. So there was just like a wider range of just video game types available. And that's also where I got involved with various like online groups. That's when we were doing like Killzone tournaments, Warhawk tournaments. So I have a lot of love for that generation, and that's always going to be my favorite. You can't really see it on the bookshelf, but I have like over like 150 PS3 games behind me because that was a generation that I was just super into. That was also the generation I was in high school, so I had a lot of fucking free time. So I got to spend a lot of time playing games, and that was a time where I could stay up till 6 a.m., take a shower, and then go to school on no sleep and be fine. I would just sleep during history class, and I would be good for the day. And
still pass their Indiana Jones tests.
Hell yeah, I did. I was actually really good at history, which is why I slept in that class. I would always get into fights with my teachers. Long story. But yeah, no, that whole generation is always my favorite generation. I will tell you, Dave, the worst generation is the NES generation. But that's just because all those games are the fucking same.
Sounds like a potential Patreon episode conversation.
Yeah.
So
anyone that says like the NES generation is the greatest generation or the SNES generation is the greatest generation, that's just pure nostalgia.
Yeah. I have good memories of Super Nintendo. That's like Tecmo Super Baseball and Street Fighter and like just button mashing Street Fighter with Blanca and the electricity. Like that's when I was playing video games with my older brother. Like there's a memory attachment to that. But in terms of like how I became the gamer I am today, that's because of PS4. And how you're the gamer you are today is because of the PS3. Yeah.
And I would just say, like, from a gameplay standpoint, like, NES and SNES were very fucking boring. But what carries those generations are the memories you had during them.
They're very boring based on what you know now.
No, I mean, I think they were boring then. Like,
really?
You'd be like, 100 fucking %.
Okay. We'll have to unwrap this one separately. Yeah. So.
Just, they were all side-scrollers. And then I would always hate people like, the art style... That. The art style in this one's amazing, and it's just like, that fucking looks like the other side scroller.
So you didn't like 2D pixels or sprites?
No, it's funny. I love sprites now because of like what we could do with them now, because you can do different shit with them. But back then, I was just
every girl had yellow hair. Every girl sprite had highlighter yellow hair and a pink dress.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, that was weird.
Which wasn't even a dress, but it was just a pink like. Pixel.
Yeah. When people were like, "Oh, the art design," I mean, it's also like people were like, like we go to PS1 generation, like when they remade Final Fantasy VII, and they're like, "Oh, Tifa's not as hot as she was in a PS1 game," and you're just like, "Excuse me, excuse me, sir."
You like square shoulders over the rounded ones? Like,
yeah.
I wanted to say something else, but
Yeah, but that's like a whole different story there. But like, anytime people are saying the NES games they still hold up, and
we need to write this down. Like this is legitimately a topic.
Yeah. Fucking, I'll take a Mario now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There are some fantastic games on the older generations, like Link to the Past and stuff like that. There are some phenomenal games. Ocarina of Time. Like, I'm not going to just lift off Zelda games, but anyway. But yes, I'm with you. Like, sometimes old game is old, so I'm totally with you. So,
and I feel that mostly with the the pixel stuff.
Older games are older.
Yeah. So, like, I'll say, like, I can't go back to the PS1 generation.
I don't even know if I could play an NES right now. Like, that controller would probably like cripple my hand.
No, it feels like shit. It was square.
Yeah, it's just like,
fuck that, or it was a rectangle. Sorry.
Yeah, same thing. It was probably might as well been a square. It had 4 sharp corners. Or I'm sorry, it had 8 sharp corners because it was, a 3D rectangle.
Honestly, Nintendo has never had a good controller, ever.
64 controller was okay.
No.
You had to hold it correctly.
Nub.
Yeah, like I'm just saying, you had to hold the middle.
The buttons were in a weird, stupid spot. The fucking nub was stupid. It had the third fucking leg.
Okay. All right, we can't do this now. We have to do this later.
Fucking game controller, piece of shit. Fucking pro controllers.
Wait, Wavebird.
No, it was still the fucking GameCube controller.
Oh my god. Okay.
Fucking terrible.
Right,
I've realized that the PS2 and PS3 controllers are dog shit too.
Yeah, with no analog sticks, 100%.
No. With the analog sticks, the PS3 controllers, fucking dog shit.
Did you see that new Hyperkin controller for Xbox?
No, I haven't.
You'll have to look that up. It's literally like a DualSense ripoff with an Xbox logo on the front of it.
I mean, I would take it. Like, I feel like
parallel analog sticks.
The first good controller is honestly the PS4 controller.
All right. Well, I'm closing the show. You should look up. You should Google that Hyperkin Xbox controller.
I'll look it up and we'll talk about it next week.
Yeah. All right. So that is our show for this week. We are, trying to get back in our rhythm. New January 2025, maybe weekly episodes. Life considering. But you can follow us possibly still on Twitter at Digital Days Pod. I think we're gonna do a blue sky, right? Probably we're gonna have to.
Well, now I have to, so no one fucking steals it later. Yeah, so.
I don't know what that is. See,
it's funny. Like the centerpiece is like this is how we'll stay away from copyright.
Yeah, but that's a DualSense, man. I think it has haptic too. I think it has haptic.
Yeah, the only part that doesn't look right is the black part of the controller.
Yeah, I agree.
But it looks like DualSense.
I am interested in this controller for like my PC and everything, man.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much it costs or anything, but on Twitter you can follow Michael at the first MJC. I assume that'll be his blue sky thing. If it not already is.
It already exists. I already have it.
Yeah, see. You can follow me at Good Dave Hunt. We have our Facebook group. A little slow, a little inactive, but that's okay. Discord server is where the conversation, when it does happen, is in Discord. So those are all linked in the show notes. And our Patreon that we talked about, we're going to just destroy the Nintendo on a Patreon episode. So that'll be
even if it's just me yelling.
You could just do that by yourself without me. You know that, right? You can just have a monologue just destroying the Nintendo and then just publish it. And it would probably be like our most listened to Patreon thing, I bet.
During the Lions game, we'll record something.
Shut your mouth. I'm out of town. I am in Kentucky during the Lions game, by the way, and we're still watching it. I am I don't even know, bringing Texas Roadhouse into our Airbnb.
Is it going to be on national TV? It should be, right? All the playoff games are.
So my daughter's fiance is a huge Kansas City Chiefs fan. It's like his only legitimate red flag. Other than that, he's great. And so the Chiefs play at 4 o'clock on Saturday, and the Lions play at 8 o'clock. So we got an Airbnb in Central Kentucky area that has enough space, I hope, for 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 people. or 7 people, 1 baby, 1 grandbaby.
But your people are tall people, though.
No, my wife and daughter are small, and Owen's small, and Parker's really small. So, but yeah, so like we're definitely, I'm not sure what food it's going to be. Raising Cane's, I don't know, something. But we're bringing in some terrible food and just watching football as a family. So that'll be phenomenal, by the way. But you can check out our Patreon website at patreon.com/digitaldaysgaming. Recommitment to 2025 Patreon stuff. I promise. I know I said it in 2024, but 2024 was a really, really, really bad year for me. Okay, really bad. All things considered, I was put out some decent content, but the last part of 2024 was really bad.
Yeah, you kind of went through the ringer.
Yeah. So, but definitely gonna dial that in with just what we talked about, like the NES thing. So consider subscribing to that. It might get a slight retool. I don't think so, but I think it's okay. But we definitely need to check your subscriptions. They did some funky stuff with billing, so please, if you're listening to this, check that out. If you're already supporting us, thank you. If you're not supporting us on Patreon, you're fine. Just download the show, please. Share it with a friend. Give a review, something. We'd love to grow the audience a little bit more and get some more conversations going. And send us your questions and all that stuff. So, all right. I hope everyone has a great week and keep moving forward.
Don't be a dick. See you.